And we're live as Brian does his yoga.
Actually, it's qigong.
Okay.
I
It's
thought it was kung fu. I thought it was
well,
kung
yeah,
fu.
it's actually hungar.
That's what I needed.
You could be just making this up. We wouldn't know. You know what I mean?
I know, but what can I
It's
say?
souffle. It's souffle.
Yeah. Well, that would be savate. Savate. That's French karate.
French karate.
Lots of kicking.
Yes, a
Little
lot of
punching,
leg
lots of
work.
kicking.
Yep.
It's some young guy.
Yeah, so
Seriously,
outside-
savate? I never heard that in French. Damn it.
Yeah. There was
Yeah,
even
I know that a savat, like in savat, it's the kick, the jump kick. It's when you jump in the air and you kick. That's what we call a savat.
okay.
It's karate, Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. So I might be mispronunciating it, possibly, because my French pronunciation's terrible. That's because I don't watch that many French movies. My Italian pronunciation is great. My Mandarin pronunciation is great. My Japanese, all that stuff, because I watch a lot of their movies. But not so
That's
much
what I'm
French
doing.
movies.
I'm just helping.
Next up, we're gonna go with the French
Namaste.
guy. We're gonna go with the French guy on the French pronunciation.
Yes, heck yeah.
Normally a wise
seriously.
approach.
I want to know
approach.
this stuff, so I don't sound stupid.
You don't sound stupid, dude.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Like when somebody try, that's far from being stupid. That's what
Yeah.
impedes people from trying different languages.
Yes.
I know. See, I speak some Mandarin, and I've been to China a lot. And I went a trip. There was a trip I went on where I just studied for several weeks, and I said, I'm not doing this. I'm going to speak all Mandarin, and I'm not going to use any sort of translation, ask anybody to speak. I'm not going to take anybody with me, and I'm just going to go suffer. Right? And sometimes it means you're in line. I was in line trying to buy something, and you got like people stacking up behind you, and they're listening in, and you're trying hard, and they're speaking too fast, and I'm just like, Adam, you just sit in this. Just sit in the zen here. And then I went back with my wife to China, and I was talking to a cab driver, and I was telling the cab driver to come pick us up in Mandarin, because there's not a lot of English spoken in particular in Beijing or in the south either. But
Right.
And I kept telling this cab driver to come meet me by the noodle house, right? And he kept hanging up on me, and I'm like, what is going on with this? We're right across the street from the noodle house. And what I'm actually saying to this guy is, come meet us by the big noodle instead of the noodle house. And so this guy is like, he's losing his mind.
Wow.
And so
Did your
finally-
processor come back on?
Yeah, I'm
Because
sorry,
you-
dude. You're getting fuzzy again. You're telling us this awesome story, and we're not hearing it.
And you're slowly like getting fuzzier and fuzzier and echoing. It was weird.
What about now?
That's perfect.
Perfecto. Okay, so you were saying
Gotcha.
the big noodle.
Total waste.
Pick us up at
Yeah.
the big noodle.
He's all total waste of money.
For the record. Total. I mean, I bought that Yeti microphone, and it's a total waste of money. So I get there, right, and so I'm screaming at this guy, and finally he pulls up. I hop in the cab with my wife, and he just starts laughing at me. I finally say, "Listen, I'm the white American on the side of the street," But anyways, and because I've been saying it wrong. I was saying, I think that's one of the, like you're saying, Sam, is you got to kind of plow in and just let yourself be a fool for a bit if you want to really learn the language.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's absolutely true. And then a little bit of a non sequitur, but I have a friend who lives in Tokyo. He's been living there for about 20 years. And when he got there, he had a friend who said that when he first got there, his Japanese colleagues were like, "Oh, dude, you know what? We'll take you under our wing. We will teach you Japanese." And wherever he went, whenever he would speak Japanese, people would look at him funny. And he didn't know why. And then he found out it's because there are different types of Japanese depending on your age, your gender, your social status, that sort of a thing. And the Japanese that they taught this guy was the Japanese that's spoken by like 12-year-old girls.
Awesome.
Right. Wow.
So when he found out, they were like,
That's awesome.
But yeah, I always encourage people to not be afraid to even learn a little bit of a new language, especially if you're a writer. It's very, very useful, You know, I used to live in Manhattan, and you'd go on the trains and you just close your eyes and you'd hear Mandarin, Spanish, Arabic. You'd hear, and all these different languages. They'll all have their own beauty. They all have their own musicality to them.
I totally agree.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a cool thing.
It is.
But speaking of getting books in the mail, I got Drew's book. I got Captain Love. I got it. I've read it. I'm gonna make a post about it. There it is.
In this one right there.
I hope it's
used
good
to,
stuff you
like,
have to say.
get
Oh no, it's
somebody-
fun. It's fun.
Yeah, it's right. It's a fun. So what I used to do is like, I'd get it in the mail and then I'd take a photo of it and then post it to everybody and say, hey, I got this. Yeah. But the bummer about that is then, nobody wants to see the second post when you kind of give some sort of review. And I think for myself, you're like, dang, you kind of want to hear what they thought about it, right? Instead of just like, I got this, like you don't need just a check-in, like the mail was delivered. Good on the postal man. You know what I mean? It's like you kind of what I read it and good on Drew, right?
Right.
So, anyways, but no, it's and so, but I've now backed. I think I probably backed like 70 projects at this point. So
Yeah, me too. My number's at 70 right now.
56.
No way.
56.
There
I'm
we
way
go.
behind you guys.
Yeah, and it's I love it because it's like now it's like every week a new thing comes. Door Kickers came this week, and Replicator came, and it's like it's so fun to get this sort of indie creators piece of content in the mail, and and it's fun because it's not like you watched the movie trailer for it. You just kind of hit it cold, and you got no history with it, and it's really fun, and it makes it kind of hard to go to a comic book shop because it's so much more fun to kind of get the mystery box.
Exactly, because if you back a lot of projects, you don't know exactly what's arrived. Like, okay, what's this?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Totally. It's like,
although it would
really
be
got arts book today, black
it
and
would
white.
It would be super cool to like have all your friends' indie projects in a comic book shop. That would also be super cool. You could walk into a comic book shop and say, "Oh, I'm buying this. I know homie. Oh, I know this homie too. Oh, I gotta get this."
I know. Yeah. See, this one came
nice.
Today.
I haven't got my
totally
replicator yet.
Dude, yeah, it looks awesome, and it's got these, these awesome prints that came in. These Rob Willis prints. Oh, that's not it. This is the money. You get these cool prints by Rob.
Oh, beautiful.
It's awesome. But I agree, and I said, of course, Captain Love is in the back. How did I not show yours, Drew? But I agree. It would be so fun to go into the shop and see that. And I remember. Here in Los Angeles, they have got various comic book shops, but the one that I always found myself attracted to is the one that's like, they have the big image section. They have the big indie section. Yeah. And those kind of shop owners tend to just like no comics outside of just the big two. Not that the big two is anything wrong with, but it's just kind of a dull experience. The guy's just like, hey, did you see that book Grit or this cool one, Raiders by Crom? And they're like, no. And you're like, why am I coming into this shop? You have no insider info.
Exactly.
If you only know about Batman and Superman, which are cool, then I don't need to be in your comic book shop because everybody knows about them. I need the inside track. And I feel like you remember back in the day when you felt like you were the guy who discovered the band.
Yes.
You're like, do you remember this feeling when you're
man.
I was at this little crap venue or bar, or whatever it is. And like I heard that music first, right?
Yes,
and I was there before they became Zeppelin, right? Or whoever it is.
Right.
And there was that feeling. And now in music, it doesn't really exist because it's all on Spotify. And so that kind of magic is gone. But in comic books, it's still there. And like, it's so cool to be like, oh, no. I found that book before everybody else found that book. And I was on the inside track.
Right.
At least for me, like that's, what makes the modern world of comic books fun, because at least I feel like with the big two is now they're so well exploited in movies and so well mass consumed, and now at Disneyland there's Marvel World and etc. Not that that's not cool, it's fun. Who doesn't like it? But it's now no longer insider. You have no special language. That's just like the common language now. It's like knowing who's playing the Super Bowl. It's like, You don't have any insight. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. It's like, it's not like when you were a kid and, like a lot of kids were into like these comics or those comics, but you're like, you had your friends like, yo, X-Men's the shit. Right. Or like the indie comics revolution that we had in the 80s, where we had First, we had Eclipse, we had Dark Horse, we had Comico, we had Fantagraphics, and some great books came out of that. And then, of course, it was really sad to watch them disappear. But then, of course, those creators, they went on to do stuff for the Big Two, and good stuff too. So, but yeah, I remember seeing like my first issue of Grimjack, my first issue of Nexus, stuff like that.
Totally. I remember there was this book on Dark Horse called Next Men.
Yes.
And it was, I don't know if you remember this book, but I
do.
I remember reading that. And I was like, it was like this grittier, darker version of mutants. And like, and I was just like, what is this book? I mean, where can I find this? And I kind of had this turning point for myself as a collector where I was doing the music video for this movie called Snakes on a Plane. And with Sam Jackson, and Sam Jackson came to set, and I was the first AD at the time, Drew, so you'll get that. And I remember Sam Jackson came to set, and he sat down and he was reading 100 Bullets by Brian Azzarello.
He's one of us. He's one of us.
That guy, what's he reading over there? And I'm like, Sam, what's that book? And he's like, this is this cool comic book called 100 Bullets. You should get it. Except in the way only he can say that kind of stuff. And so then I went out and I bought, Brian Azzarello and Eduardo Rizzo's 100 Bullets, the first trade. And I remember sitting down to read it, and I was like, oh, this is it. This is what I have been waiting for all this time in comic books. I've been loving them, but this was it. And then I kind of never really went so heavily back to mainstream. I mean, DC is always doing something cool with Batman, with like Sean Murphy's White Knight, or with Frank Miller's, Master Race. Like, there's some cool things happening there from time to time.
Yeah.
But I just kind of lived in that other world because it was so much more fun.
Yeah. And it was just so much freer, and that's where the interesting stuff was happening. That's where the innovation was happening. That's where the fresh, bold, new imagination was being presented. Yeah.
Like, you remember when Spawn dropped? When
McFarlane dropped
Spawn for the first time, right?
Yep.
And McFarlane's kind of a genius, let's be real about it.
Right.
And when he dropped that issue with the guy with the chains, and and then the way it was drawn, and at the time that whole look was so fresh and fun, and like, this is a new superhero. And like, the idea of a new one was like impossible.
Right. Yeah. But also with a flavor, I remember thinking immediately of like the 70s Marvel horror heroes, right? Like Morbius the Living Vampire, Tomb of Dracula, Monster of Frankenstein, Werewolf by Night, and Son of Satan, which is actually being turned into a TV series now. Now, did you ever think?
I would never think that.
Right?
I think that Morbius. Yeah, I know, it's so crazy because I love.
Insane.
Morbius was mine. I love Morbius.
Me too.
Yeah. It's a cool thing. Go ahead.
But yeah, then there are comics like my friend Preston. We send comics to each other back and forth. We dig through our collections, and like, he found this comic called Gunfighters in Hell that came out, right? And
amazing.
Look at this art. This is by Joe Vigil, Tim Vigil's brother, right? And he just like saw this in his collection, was just like, oh, I know who I'm sending this to. I know who's going to appreciate this.
Yeah, in fact, Preston and I were talking the other day, and he was talking about like, hey, Adam, I like your books, the 8th, the Kill Journal, because there's nobody in spandex. It's like, I realize I don't want to read comics with spandex. Now, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But it was like, that was his feeling about it. And I was like, I think that's what I love too, is when it's not, that it's not those stories. And hence the 8th, hence this new book, The Kill Journal, is that it is a chance to explore other stories, right? And what's cool about a comic book is you can explore things like Captain Love, right, Drew, where you can explore a wholly that's an expensive TV show. That's an expensive film, your comic book. But you
Hell
can
yeah.
explore
That's
you can
totally
explore
expensive.
that, and you can explore that in a comic book. You can explore different boundaries, and so it's a really special medium that way. And I feel like the non-spandex suit is really the non-spandex story is just far from exploited yet.
Yeah, it's not what I want to do, But you grow up loving superhero comics if you love comics,
Yeah,
but it's just like
absolutely.
I'm just not interested in doing that. There's other people who can do that better.
Even if I was going to write a superhero comic where the superhero has superpowers and whatever, I wouldn't be putting him in spandex. You know what I mean? Because that was for the strongman era. You know what I mean? Where like
Right.
the circus guy with the strongman, roar, it's
Yeah.
like this is a whole different time. You know what I mean? It's like you got to make him different. If you're gonna make a superhero, you gotta give him an outfit that applies to whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's kind of like how like they've changed up Batman and made him give him body armor and bullshit.
Yeah,
right.
No, that was totally cool. When Tim Burton did it, it was brilliant. So I see you've got the Kill Journal up.
I do.
Beautiful art, man. Beautiful art.
Thank you.
So cool.
Yeah, see, and I don't know if you want to scroll to the top of the page there, Drew, but there's a video.
I did see that. I wanted
Oh, yeah,
to
it's really good.
I wanted to start off with the art while you guys were talking. So.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, totally cool. So, yeah, I'll let you play the video, and then we can talk a little bit about the story.
Well, I shall let it roll.
My name is Sydney Valentine, and I'm a survivor. A revenant slaughtered everyone I love, including my daughter. They're evil spirits, back from the dead who wield machetes and tire irons, and a bullet to the head won't stop them. After one butchered his congregation, St. George claims God called him to hunt the revenants, and he's recruiting survivors to join him. Most won't make it out alive, but at least they're taking a stand. God has his book of life, and St. George has his kill journal.
Nice. So, the heart of this story, why I lost Brian, it was so boring.
No, actually, you do great trailers, but it's like we expect good trailers from you now because we know about your background. So,
yeah, I needed to get. I feel like when promoting anything like a moving picture really just takes people in versus a still image. Mm-hmm. It's really kind of game changing when they can see it alive and moving. And it's not terribly difficult to do in After Effects. I don't know if Drew, if you're an After Effects guy, but
yeah, I use After Effects. Not a lot, but I do use it. Yeah.
Yeah, you probably get it. It's not too complicated, but it's really worth it in the end. But this is a tale of revenants and survivors at its core. The story starts with Sydney, our girl here on the top left, and she went to a cabin in the woods. She brought her daughter and left her in the truck. She was trying to connect with some guy. She probably shouldn't have brought her daughter. And then a revenant showed up with a machete and killed everyone at the cabin, including her daughter. And then Sydney is also killed by the revenant. And this revenant is this guy down here in the right corner you can see with the machete. And the doctors bring Sydney back after she's been dead for 5 minutes on the table. And there's something infused in her. Something came back with her, a desire for revenge, something she can't explain. And then the guy on her right there is St. George, and he was a priest and had a congregation. And then a revenant came by and chopped up his congregation. And on that night, God said to him, I need you to lead destroying angels, and I need you to raise an army and hunt down these revenants. So then St. George is this half-mad preacher leading this group of people like Sydney, who are these survivors of revenant attacks. And they're hunting down people like this masked man with the machete, people like the guy with the scythe in the top, who are essentially what the revenant is, or a Jiangshi in the East, is they are evil spirits back from the dead, bent on revenge. Lots of times in the West, we might call them slashers. But in our story world, they're revenants. And so you have, I was talking to Brian about this, and he said, it's like a splatter movie with a conscience, right? It's a story about these people whose lives are devastated by this impossible trauma, right? Jason, Freddy type shows up, wipes out people you know and your friends. You're traumatized. How do you recover? Most people don't. And our characters choose to recover by fighting back. And so St. George recruits them and is training them. And now they're going to hunt down these revenants. But killing a revenant isn't as simple as just a bullet to the head, right? Because they just come back for the sequel. You've got to learn the origin of how they were created, what caused them, and then you've got to build a booby trap. So like an easy way to think about it, like for Jason Voorhees, you have to take him back to Camp Crystal Lake, right? And drown him in the lake where he once was tortured. And so it's this kind of thing that they have to recreate, have to build these traps to kill and end these revenants. But yet the revenants keep coming. They're being covered up by somebody in higher power. And they start to discover that maybe there is a unifying force that is bringing these revenants back, that there is an evil in the soil of America that is creeping out. And the story is, I think, like what I love at the core of it, right, is it's certainly hard hitting and it's beautifully drawn, and it deals with, what happens to these people in the face of extreme trauma at the core, right? Because that's what happens in horror movies, right? You get hit with extreme trauma, and then how do you cope with it, and what do you do with it once it's happened to you? And so so that's the Kill Journal, and it's titled that because St. George is keeping a record of all the revenants they hunt, all the details about them, who is getting killed, etc. And so it's like that's his Bible, if you will, his cursed Bible of all of their kills. And and I think that with each of these characters in the story, they have a past. So when we meet all the characters, we don't know any of their past or what happened to them the night of their attack. And that starts to come out in the story. And sometimes the secrets that get revealed might turn some of them against each other, creates twists in our story because we're learning who these people are real time versus getting a front load of here's Sydney, here's everything that happened to her. We instead meet her at what looks like a AA meeting or a cancer survivor meeting, where it's like to help cope with the trauma of a revenant attack, right? Like in the basement of a church. And she shows up to this meeting, a revenant crashes the meeting, she fights back, and St. George knows, you're definitely somebody who should be part of this little army of destroying angels I'm assembling, because you didn't choose to run, you chose to fight. So that's the story, but we're going to do some cool things with it as well. It's going to be a leather bound hardcover edition this time around. So it's like you have like this, you are essentially getting your own Kill Journal, if you will, Drew. And so it's like, it's going to be leather bound. It's going to have all these cool aspects to it that are charred, and you feel like you've got the same book that St. George has. And
That sounds like expensive to set up. Like I mean, that's not something a printer normally does.
yeah, there is shoot, I wish I would have brought a proof here. It's not as expensive as you think. In fact, it's cheaper than a slipcase.
Really?
To do it leather bound. Yeah. Ironically, the slipcase is, which I chose to with the 8th, is almost one of the most expensive things you can do. When you get to like really big orders, the slipcase and the book cost almost the same. At like once you start to get in the thousands, so it's not too crazy. And the graphic novel is going to be 88 pages this time instead of 188, and it has about 24 pages of more stuff we'd love to unlock on the journey. So it'd be like a 112 page experience is the hope. And but it's this leather bound cool thing. And we'll do the same thing with the digital issues. You get them right away after the campaign ends, and you get one every month. It's been really cool with the 8th. We have about 600 backers, and half those backers are reading the digital issue every month. And there's so much more feedback and interaction because right away they got something. were able to read it and connect. But they also didn't get just dumped. Hey, here's 5 issues in the digital. People just, it's too much to get through. Whereas instead they're just getting a snippet and they're getting it right away. So that's been really, so that's a cool thing. And then one thing we're doing for anybody who signs up for the pre-launch is August 31st. We're going to see this mask on this guy has Revenant in the corner.
Yeah, you sent me a picture of that. Hold on, I'll grab that up. Go ahead, keep talking.
Yeah. Well, that mask he's wearing, we're having that built out of fiberglass. It'll be this beautiful, cool, expensive, awesome Halloween piece. And on August 31st, we're going to draw a name from all the people who've signed up, and one of them is going to win one of those masks. And we're going to do another one in September before we launch the book in October, because we want this to all be centered around Halloween, obviously. And so, because I feel like the coolest, swag you could get with this kind of thing is a mask, right? That it works for, it works for Halloween, and it works for. Do you want me to drop it to you?
No, I have it right here. It's just not showing up. I got to do it the other way.
Okay.
I got to change the page. Hold on. I'm just going to go back to your thing here. So that, Twitter does weird things. You know what I mean? It gives you the temporary image thing. And so you cannot, here, I got a game plan here. You keep talking. I'm doing the tech stuff. Where's Brian?
We totally lost Brian. I know, right?
Yeah, he's supposed to be talking when I'm doing the tech stuff. So
yeah, so it's but it's a cool mask, and you'll actually wear it. It's actually a $250 item, and that we're just going to be giving away for free. We're going to give away 2 of them, and one at the end of this month, and one at the end of September before we get into the campaign. So we're super excited.
The mask is going to be made out of fiberglass, you said?
Fiberglass, yeah. It's a fiberglass resin, so it's like, so as a result, it's not plastic, so that it's like it has a more structure to it than plastic, right? And it'll have a better just like feel and look and texturing and strength to it. So it'll look, it'll just feel like a high-end mask versus something that you got at the Halloween store for $9.99. It will be this dramatic piece that you can see. This is the sculpting process. And this is a couple weeks old. I'm waiting on the next sort of sets of images, but that's the kind of mask. It'll obviously be colored as well. And it would be the nice, just Jezebel, thank you for that. You are awesome. Oh, Jezebel, sorry there. In fact, I follow you on Twitter. You do some awesome stuff. Thank you for signing up. Let's fingers crossed. It's you who win that mask. So, because I feel like with 7 when we were creating the 8th, it was like we did this really cool T-shirt, and because we felt like there's something to like have the book, but then there's something nice to kind of rep your tribe. Like you can rep your cool. You can rep your unique, fandom, if you will. And what I like about this is like you can put this mask on, and when you go out on Halloween with this kind of cool mask, and though people might not be going out, they might be just hanging out on Zoom for this Halloween. But you have that is your way to hail your fandom there. So, and then I think that. Now, with this story, also, one thing I love about these kinds of characters, these revenants that are back from the dead, is they have they have their own unique origin story, right? And thank you, Rot 10 Glory, thank you for that. On the looking good, is that they in and of themselves have a fun, unique origin, because the revenants are somewhat sympathetic from some standpoint, right? They are a product of abuse or bullying or mistreatment at the end of the day, right? When you think about Jason Voorhees, right, he was crafted from cruelty that made him, right? Each one of these revenants in our story has a hint of, at some point they were a sympathetic person, but then they went way too far. So it creates a little bit of layer, not that you necessarily feel bad for them because of all the terrible things they do in return, but there is more of a cause to them. You realize that they're like a part of the outfection, part of this disease, right, of abuse in some ways. And so, and I think that's like, there's kind of this line in the story, there's this evil that lives in the soil of America, right? We have more serial killers in the United States, in any other first world country, more mass murders, more child murder, all these kind of really bizarre things. Like, why would that be connected to us? And it's like, and so I took that bit of research and infused that into kind of the base layer that there's an evil in the soil, right? There's something deep beneath the surface that was here before the natives, here before Columbus, that lives in the soil. And every now and again, it comes out and grows and walks on two legs like a man. And that becomes these revenants. And they're kind of cued off of these misuses and abuses. And I see that. Charles, by the way, thank you for the praise on the trailer. That was awesome. Thank you for that. So I think that's why this story, it's like, and I was talking to Brian about it. I mentioned this, Brian, like, once again, the splatter movie with the conscience, if you will.
Right.
It's like, it's the idea that there is both a conscience and trauma that you're dealing with from the people hunting these revenants, and these revenants themselves are the creation of
right,
bad negative behavior. And
they're like tragic villains.
That's right. They're a tragic villain. You don't feel empathy in the sense like, oh, you're justified, but it's so bittersweet because they're the product of abuse in some way.
Right. Somebody made them.
Right. They didn't just go out they didn't just choose this pathway because they were crazy.
Adam made them.
You got it.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
You got it.
Oh, I just want to say real quick. Sorry, go ahead, Adam.
Okay. No, Brian.
Oh, I just wanted to say, like, what's up to people in the chats? Pops Van Zant, Jetsabel, Rot10, what's up, brother? Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Also, the people that are watching on Facebook, thank you so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate y'all. Just had to get that out there.
Yes,
we do.
Yes, indeedy.
Yeah, no, it's totally awesome, right?
And these character designs are just fantastic, man. I mean, these are just like, what I love about it is that they're sort of like amalgamations of different horror icons, in a sense, that you're taking the elements and you're sort of mixing and matching. So in a way that they're familiar, in a sense they're familiar, but then they're also something new.
Right. That's exactly right. And I think that's the hope, is that it's kind of like why rebranding them as Revenants versus, perceived as slashers, right? Because the Revenant is like the larger universal term, right? It's like the Zhengshi are in China, right? It's people coming back with some sort of sense of revenge.
Yeah.
And so that's and so that, like, there's a nicer twist on them with each of these Revenants that they uncover. So you're not only like, like you're saying, these tragic villains have an origin story that's interesting and then plays into the plot and is how they ultimately undermine them, right? They've got to learn what made them and then in some ways exploit that, right? Which is a terrible thought, right? Like, to kill Jason Voorhees, you have to take him back to the place where he was abused, right? Yeah. But like, so as a result, our survivors who are hunting them, they have to prevent themselves from becoming somewhat like the Revenants they're hunting, right? Because they're also created from trauma, our survivors. And, one of our characters in the story, Finch, who grew up in a dogfighting pit.
Not to interrupt you, but I have to, thank you very much, Jezebel, for you to say.
Please interrupt whenever you choose for that. But with the character Finch, like, he grew up in a dogfighting pit. A dog didn't show up one day. His dad threw him in the ring, and he grew up fighting these pit bulls as a kid. And he kind of has the most savage aspect of him. And as they keep hunting these Revenants, he steals one of their masks and he hides it in the woods. And he has moments where he goes and he visits this mask. And you can see that he's, could be somebody who could come back as one, right? And and so there is this line, right? I think oftentimes we experience with cops and criminals, right, where the line between the two gets real narrow at some points. And
and then of course that line sometimes gets crossed. And
Yep.
you look at something like the first Dirty Harry sequel, right, which was Magnum Force, which is about a group of vigilante cops that were doing extrajudicial killings, right? They were killing people that were getting away from the law. And they came to Callahan, and they're just like, "Hey, man, you should be able to get down with us. You of all people." But he was just like, "No, you crossed that line, even that I wouldn't cross."
Right.
Right. Like there's a certain point where you almost lose sympathy, where you're like, okay, well now you need to be stopped.
That's right. Right. And then coming up to that line and just touching it, creates something. And I see from M62259, that in my TV series Escape the Night, season 3, they battled these various monsters each season, and each one of those monsters was sort of crafted from this tragedy of trauma. And it's funny because at that time, working on season 3 of Escape, that I'd already written the Kill Journal, and it kind of, some of that bled into season 3 of Escape. So you called that out.
And that is your favorite season.
And that, yes, Brian, you remembered. Definitely my favorite season. It's one that resonates with me the most, and I think that's in part why. So this graphic novel gets to dwell in that land, if you will. But one also really unique thing about it is, Brian, we're just talking about it, is that there's going to be a leather bound hardcover edition, and so and which will actually be even a cheaper price point than the 8th, which was so big because this is a shorter tale. But one thing that's really cool about that is, I know when I first did the 8th, people were like, Adam, how come we didn't do a cheap soft cover? And what I came to find with all of the backers for the 8th, that a lot of people backed because they were getting something cooler physically.
Mm-hmm.
And then we ended up, because of our digital delivery being so immediate and a monthly, getting a much larger percentage of digital backers than I would say books that did a lot more numbers than us. And so I think that I kind of felt like, I thought, oh, maybe book 2, I'll just pare it down and do soft cover. But then it just seemed to me so clear that what many of those fans who came for the 8th wanted was something kind of special. Because probably of those backers, of the 600 backers, probably 400 to 500 of them had never backed a thing.
Interesting.
Right? They'd never backed a thing. And I got probably a half dozen to a dozen comments set in, which usually means that there's more behind that, who said, I've never really read comics before, but this felt cool, and I wanted that thing, And so,
oh, wow.
And so I feel like, maybe that's something, a direction to kind of lean into a bit, and build, by building each book as a cool experience in and of itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what are your thoughts on that, Brian?
No, I think that's a great idea. Whenever I see people, my fellow indie comics creators, doing something new, doing something different, doing something innovative, first I feel jealous, right? Like, damn, why didn't I think of that? But it's also, really what it is it's inspiring, because, people are always coming up with new things. Or when Vinny, the Fulfillment King, when he took Into the Woods Through the Woods, and he hit the 15K mark, and then he made it hardcover, and this beautiful French style comic, and his numbers doubled, which is great. Wow. Right. And and interesting ideas for perks, and it's like, these are all ideas that we can borrow, steal, really, from each other, right? But then also innovate, create new ones. Mark Marianelli, he always creates these little chippies of people's characters. A lot of people, like myself, asked him, hey, is it cool if I use that for a sticker or something like that? Now, by the way, people, if you're going to get stickers, get them bigger than I did. Next time.
Yes, you mean like this sticker?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 'cause I'm a notebook guy, so I love stickers
Yeah, I
because
do
it's like
too.
there's still that Trapper Keeper kid in me that's like, oh, the sticker goes on the Trapper Keeper.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Or Preston, who we were talking about before, sent me this lovely old edition that he had of Nine Devils, which I'm currently working on writing the reboot of, and it came with a metal cover,
It's awesome.
right?
It's just cool, right?
Yeah. And I asked him, I'm like, well, what do I do with this? Do I oil it? Is it gonna rust? Right?
How does that work?
Yeah, how does that work? He's just like, I don't know. It's just cool, you know. So yeah, it's we have there's so much talent, so much imagination, so much innovation in this indie creator scene, and it's just exciting just to be part of and seeing what people are going to do next.
That's right. I totally agree. I totally back it. And I think that Brian, speaking of interesting things, and I'm sure this group's heard it a million times, and hopefully these watchers have gotten Six Gun Gorilla, because I got my copy of Six Gun Gorilla and the single issue as well and read it. And one thing I dug about what happened there is you took a yarn, right? A yarn of a tale in a cowboy setting, and you made it feel fresh again. And
thank you.
It had bite and wit, and it had and the gorilla had so much heart. And you made this really interesting choice that you had the gorilla not talk, right?
Yeah.
And what a great choice to build this empathy for this character who had to speak with only actions, and also to what that meant for your storytelling. And I remember before I saw it and I backed the book, you said, it has a special heart to it. And I was like, I wonder what that's going to be. And at least for me, that was it, right? Is this gorilla that you have great empathy for, because it was, comes from a traumatic setting with its parents being killed and taken to the States, and that it's in this world, but it can't really talk, right? And so it's got to do it all just by looks and action. And what a smart choice to build a character, right? That inherently has a weakness as a character, but that also facilitates the story. Smart.
Thanks, dude. Thanks. That was a difficult choice for me, because I was like, well, how am I going to do this? And then I stumbled across a old Japanese TV series called Mute Samurai with Tamasaburo Wakayama, who plays Ito Ogami in the Baby Cart series, based on the Lone Wolf and Cub. And I just watched that, and I thought, okay, well, let me is that even possible? How do you do a mute hero? And I watched that, and I was like, oh, okay, I could do that now. So I didn't take anything specific, but I was like, oh, well, he can do sign language, right? Very basic sign language that anyone's going to understand. He can draw in the dirt and stuff like that. And
right, totally.
Yeah. So, I mean, I believe in giving credit where credit is due. And that's where
totally.
I was like, okay, he's not talking. He's mute. Okay.
Yeah. Good choice. Totally good choice.
Thanks, brother.
And
glad you enjoyed it.
I totally did. And I think that's a special thing when I can see that writer made a deep choice, and it made a big difference. And hopefully we've done the same a bit here with the Kill Journal. And I think, oh, there it is. Yep, dropping Six Gun Gorilla out there.
Thanks.
With the Kill Journal is that there's this character Finch in the story, which I mentioned, who grew up in these dogfighting pits, and he's a character that kind of functions in a similar way. And he's also the one who steals the Revenant mask and is on the verge of maybe becoming one himself at some point. Is that you're building a character off looks and action, and in some ways he kind of behaves as the family dog, and I love what that can be. And so anyway, so thanks for that insight there, Bran, and that spilled into the Kill Journal. But I think as far as Drew, as far as for the campaign goes, and as far as the excitement, everybody sign up. It's awesome. You can get a chance to win the mask, and you don't have to buy the graphic novel even to sign up to win the Revenant mask. Those are going to be, 2 of them will be handed out to just people who've signed up for the sign up list. And there's going to be some other cool exclusive stuff that's going to be coming out to those who have signed up. And so please do.
Seriously, folks,
definitely.
this looks absolutely awesome. The art is spectacular. Do you want to tell us a little bit something about your artist here?
Yeah, so there's so let me in fact why don't I send this to you, Drew, real
You
quick.
want to share your screen, you can.
Okay, yeah, let me jump on this real quick. So let me I'll do a little share screen. So what you're seeing here, so this is an artist, a French he's living in Montreal now, but he's a French artist.
Have you shared it?
From France. I'm going to go ahead and share it right now. So this is who you're seeing. So this is Tauntaun, and he did all my concept work. And then a guy named Raymond Bermudez is doing the interior pages, because Tauntaun got an awesome job working for Riot, and then he was making far too much money to ever work on it.
Right. You lost him. Yeah.
That's he just totally.
It happens. Yeah.
Yeah, that totally happened. And so, so this is. Okay, I always have this problem with screen share. So window or screen. Okay, that's not gonna allow. Okay.
If it's easier for you to just DM me, that's totally cool.
I'll just shoot you. I'll shoot you right here on a DM. But this is, okay, Drew, you got this here. So what this is that this is my interior artist, a guy named Raymond Bermudez, who has done Wolverine, and he did a really cool cool cover for Ninjak, by the way, which you've never seen because everybody's making fun of the current one. But back when it was cool, he did a great cover for that.
Well, Ninjak's a great character.
Yeah, right? Great character. So I'll kind of give you the difference between the two. So Drew, I'm going to send you one more, so you can see the characters in the two, concept versus.
I just took the same graphic. I'm gonna have to close that one so I don't do that again. There we go.
Easy to
Let's
do.
see here.
Boomer.
Yeah, bite my boomer.
Brian, what's on that t-shirt? Brian, what's on that t-shirt?
Oh, it's Danger Diabolic. Deep down. It's a old Mario Bava movie. If you've never seen it, it's spectacular. It's based on a Italian comic, a fumetti called Diabolic, which isn't about a superhero, it's about a supervillain. And a guy who's basically into crime just for the sake of crime. And there's a really great moment in that movie where he steals like this huge amount of cash, fresh from like the printer, right? And they're like, well, what's he gonna do with all that cash? And you see like this mountain of cash, and then you see this woman's leg come up out of it, and then you see his elbow, and then you see he's making love to his girlfriend in the nest of banknotes.
And
that's what he's doing with it.
So you can see here, this is the concept image of Marty, done by Tauntaun Revolver, an amazing French artist. There are so many great French artists that I've hired over the years. They have such a passion for it in France. It's awesome. So this is Tauntaun Revolver. That's his screen name. He has a different real name, but that's his screen name. And then if you go to the next image,
the other image. Okay, hold on.
Is Raymond, which you can often see lots of times in books. There's a pinup / concepting sometimes phase that happens before you get into pages, and so this is Raymond's then Bermuda's interpretation of it. He's a Filipino artist, and so this is what obviously this is uncolored as well, but so that's what the interior pages are going to kind of feel and look like. So
they have a thing for comics too in the Philippines. I've noticed like lots of
right, amazing stuff, right?
Yeah, like I mean, going all the way back to like when I was a kid, Pablo Marcos, so the great stuff that he did for Savage Sword of Conan. But yeah, it's like certain areas like France, the Philippines, and then of course Latin America. It's awesome.
Amazing artist there. Yeah, and he's
Well,
such
you know,
a
in
cool artist.
the Philippines is a really beautiful place, so you probably
awesome.
learn to admire things a little differently. You know what I mean? Growing up in that kind of environment. Plus, they also have extreme poverty in certain areas. You know what I mean?
They sure do.
So you know that what can you do if you don't have electricity, man? You know, I mean, you can draw.
Right.
Totally right. And this artist is cool because he's also an MMA fighter and an artist, and so he's an interesting mix of a man.
Oh, that should help for the fight scenes too.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. His sense of action is perfect, and for sure. But that's going to be kind of the translation of what you'll see. And I don't think it lets. I always was disappointed when you have like this epic cover art and then maybe not so epic interiors.
Oh God, yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
man.
Bait and switch. So I tried to give people, the early concept work to promote it, but then the interior page is delivering on the same level, just in a unique. They just have a different feel. Yeah.
Right.
So, well, cool.
Very
Well, Drew.
cool.
Well, this is awesome, dude, and thanks for listening to me gab about the Kill Journal and having me walk through it. It's much appreciated, and it's gonna the pre-launch is now, and then October 1st, it's gonna go. The campaign's gonna go live, and so we are pumped that this one can maybe go beyond the 8th. And
it will.
I thank you, my friend. I hope so, and I feel like that I have some sort of 4 surprises coming shortly to reveal here along the way in this pre-launch. But that's where I'm at with it. Drew.
Sweet.
Simon, what are you doing, brother? You drawing something?
We lost him.
He might have muted himself to go take care of something. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry I disappeared before, but I got like an emergency phone.
We gotta back in a sec in the private chat too. So
okay,
from Sam, so he's not there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So since you mentioned it, now everybody go get your name on the mailing list. I put the link in the chat. The link's in the description. Go get that handled. Because you don't want to miss out on the opportunity to win the mask. Even if you're not going to back the book, you're going to want that mask. It's free shit. Go get on the list. Simple.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
right?
man.
There's no reason to not get on the list. He's not charging you for shipping on the mask if you win it. You know what I mean? Are you? Okay, see, there you go.
No, of course not. That's not much of a prize.
Free cool shit in the mail is what we're trying to tell you. Possibly.
Right.
You have the chance to get free cool shit in the mail.
Yeah,
that's also going to be an interesting, a great collectible.
Yeah, that's right.
And we were talking about Six Gun Gorilla earlier, and it's doing very good. 16,228, still busting out the backers. Still busting out.
Thank you, backers. Yeah. And I'm getting those books out as fast as possible. Have I hit the halfway point? I don't know, man. Yeah, about. I'm about halfway through fulfillment. So, folks, if you're waiting for your book, you're gonna keep waiting. No, I'm working on. I'm getting those out as fast as I can. I promise you, because of course I need to finish fulfilling this before we launch a campaign for Six Gun Gorilla number 8, Cemetery Without Crosses.
I'm ready for that.
Yeah, Preston's going to be, picking up the illustrating duties from Adrian. May he rest in peace. And he's going to be doing a really beautiful, full painted canvas cover. So, yeah, and he's doing 2 of them too. He's doing a parody cover, and he's doing another one that's a little more conventional. So I'm really excited about that. And also we're going to have some swag for the first time, which is to say, George Peter Gaddis, the legendary Blue Muppet, is working on a Six Gun Gorilla figurine with his 3D printer. He's also working on the Hauler, Captain Love's Hauler, for my man Drew here. And oh god, man, it's crazy the way he's designing it. Adam, you should see this shit. He's designing it so that the arms are connected, and the bullets and like everything sort of you can like remove. It's like connected with magnets, so you can like take it off. You're an old D&D brother, right?
Yeah,
so you know
totally.
that it's a lot easier to paint the individual parts and then like stick them on, right? And
Of
so
course.
yeah. So he's doing that so that the poncho and the hat all come off, and so people will be able to customize it. And then also
this is so cool.
I know. Oh, dude, you should see the stuff he's shown us. It's sick. And the arms are connected like the old Micronauts, like with magnets, right? So like
totally.
you could take off the arms that are holding the 6 guns, and you can replace them with the arms that are holding the Gatling gun.
Yes,
So we're gonna have we're gonna have some very, very cool stuff, man. We're gonna have some very cool stuff for the next campaign for sure.
Yeah.
And people,
toys.
Yeah, man, I know. So, oh god, I can't wait for that. And this is probably people's last chance to grab the trade paperback for a while, because I find it's a little confusing for people sometimes, where they're just like, wait a second, why is one book 24 pages? Why is one book $15 and the other one's $35? I'm like, well, because obviously one is 6 comics and one is just 1 comic, but it's a little confusing for people sometimes. So I'm going to simplify it. And next time, people are going to be able to buy the floppies individually or like in a bundle. That's the plan.
I back it. I'm 100%. I back it.
Thanks, brother. Thank you so much for your support, and thank you everybody so much for your support and making the next issue possible. Greatly appreciate that.
The great ape of CG.
Yes.
The great ape of CG.
What's up, Simon?
What's up?
He's back.
Yes.
Yeah, I had to go see. I had to go deal with the kids, and
We understand. Oh man, wait. I think I'm sitting on something here. Oh, look what arrived! Damn right I did. Look at that.
Freaking A.
Check it out. Check it out. Yeah, man. Oh god, it looks freaking beautiful. I haven't. This is my first time taking it out. Oh yeah. Hold on. We'll do the sniff test.
Whoa,
it smells like heaven. And a little bit with a hint of brimstone. And
the silver signature.
Yes. And dude, do you want to tell everybody really quickly about like the printing process for this? Because it's just totally sick.
I just had to plan the fact that I had the interior cover. It's technically just planning the first page with the interior cover, right? So the credit was the first page of the book, and that was in rich black, so I had to pay extra so the black would pop out even more.
Yeah, so you had to pay for like a full color comic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just so that the blacks would be like really black, because Simon is all about working with negative space.
And also the fact that because all my framing is a lot of blacks, right? So they had to do like the full color process, but I didn't get charged for all the toners. I just got charged for the black and white. But it's still a process that cost me like $400 extra.
And there are a lot of Easter eggs in this, people. There's a lot of CGers in particular getting fucked up. I'm gonna try. Let me see. Where's
anti CG should have bought the shit out of the book then. That's what
absolutely. Yeah. He offs like a bunch of folks here. I'm looking for
Drew.
Oh yeah.
6 a.m.
Yeah. I think you cut Drew in half, and I think like 6 a.m.'s head just like goes spinning like a top off of his shoulders.
And there's a spot where you see Piper's head falling into the water.
Oh, I missed that.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna have to take another look at that.
When he's walking in the water.
Oh yeah. No, I know the scene you're talking about. Yeah, but I didn't notice. Pipes up in that piece. Oh yeah, wait. MC Mark Marinelli eats them up like spaghetti, or maybe some Cheerios. He masticates his foes. And and then there's all the cool little extra stuff. Is that a sketch card I see in there?
Yeah, the sketch card and the sticker.
Nice. Nice.
Sweet.
It's
Sweet,
just
sweet.
next time I'm gonna try and find somebody that can do the die cut because I signed up and they did that thing, but they didn't have the machine to do die cuts. So.
Gotcha. I remember when you were like cranking these out during streams. You were like, yeah. Oh, and speaking of MC Mark Marianelli and stickers, see,
and right now he's also doing the entire Nadverse crew.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic! And he just did Joe King's Slaughter Squad.
It's freaking amazing.
Yeah, he's one of our treasures, without a doubt. And that's a certain sparkling vampire.
Yeah, Edward and Bella getting their right due. I'm a real fucking vampire.
Okay, all right, zombies don't run. Vampires do not fucking sparkle, and werewolves do not play basketball. Can we all agree on this?
We can.
Brian,
I'm sure we can.
Did you see the preview of the promo trailer for Tales in the Adverse?
Did I? No, I think you did. I think you sent that to me, but I don't think I scoped it out yet.
Oh no,
I don't think so. Hold on.
Maybe if we do this.
Yeah, boy.
You want to see it?
Yeah. What?
Nice.
Badass.
Nice.
Badass,
nice.
Simon.
Oh,
yeah,
that's the Red Gaze that did that little video for me, and he's freaking nailed it. Yeah.
Oh man, hail Red Gaze. Love that dude.
I'm like, you've known me long enough. You know what I want for this thing. He goes, yeah, you want a heavy metal feel? I go, you got it, bro.
Yeah, man. Oh, he nailed it, man. He nailed it. Oh, that's freaking fantastic, brother. Really looking forward to this, man. That's gonna be a fun book. And folks, Blood Hunt. Well, I guess you missed out because the campaign is closed. So psych. You snooze, you lose.
I did not. I am still waiting. You
may
should be there anytime.
There might be a second chance. Wasn't we a second chance? Black and Red, wasn't there coming?
Actually, what's happening is I overprinted a few, so people that missed it will have a chance of buying a dual pack on the Tales and Adverse. So you could buy a Tales and Adverse with Blood Hunt, but right now it'll be an extra $5 a copy. You know, first printing, and yeah. And after that, I'm actually thinking of doing a full colored edition.
You know what? I think that would actually, especially seeing like what Scotsman has done with Odie's work on Xenotype. I would love to see a color version of this. But still, you're not going to be able to beat that.
No, it's epic. It's epic.
Isn't that great?
I've got to run. I've got to jump into another meeting. But
you got it, brother. Thank you so much for swinging by.
Are you kidding, dude? I love this pack of people. Thanks for having me on again, guys. So much love here for this camp, and for all of you guys out there watching. You're awesome. Thank you for doing that.
Hell yeah.
Listening in to while we gab away. So much love, guys.
Yeah, everybody, make sure you get on the Kill Journals mailing list. Adam is a really talented guy. You can pretty much guarantee that the book is going to be worth the money that you're paying for it. So,
without a doubt.
Yeah, it looks interesting.
Thank you, guys.
Get down on it. All right. Peace out, Adam. Much love, man.
And with that segue, I would like everybody to laugh at this. We got 3 campaigns going at the same time.
Hell yeah.
2 in demand, 1 and mailing list. Captain Love Chapter 2. Sign up is there. Just search Captain Love on Indiegogo. It's the easiest thing. If I try to tell you to go click a link and you know what I mean, that's all fine and dandy, but people get confused. Search Captain Love. If you don't have it, it's the options are there. right there before you. And make sure you get on the mailing list, because I got something special art-wise planned for just mailing list people. So get on that mailing list.
Heck yeah.
And then the cover artwork is by Henry Ponciano. And he is extremely talented. Yeah, he also does the art for 7 Legions, or some of the art for 7 Legions, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, half the book technically.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah, he is. He's got some skill.
I just love that pose too. It's like it just gives me a very Jim Steranko kind of a vibe for some reason.
It's a Han Solo pose. Remember when he shoots his gun, he always he used to always have that hand behind.
Right. Yeah, because I was thinking Nick Fury.
It's not the only one, but I mean, like, it's a classic Han Solo pose. Yeah.
Right.
It's you could say futuristic or pop culture.
Yeah. Because I was immediately thinking of like Steranko's Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
That's true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's a good thing. That's a very high compliment.
It is almost the Han Solo pose, though. That was I think it's funny that Sim saw that. I didn't even see that.
Neither did I.
That's killing me.
That's my job. That's what I do. But dude, it's iconic, right? And
it is
symbolism and shit like that. So it's actually I think he probably might not even like tried to model after Han Solo. I think he was actually, because I told him in the feel of Flash Gordon. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, and he nailed it. I mean, the old school Flash Gordons totally had that feel. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. And don't forget, like when Star Wars first came out, you don't hear that comparison made much anymore these days, because people have Flash Gordon is sort of like faded into the background, and people these days, they don't watch like the old Republic movie serials and that sort of a thing. But when Star Wars first came out, all the critics were saying Flash Gordon.
Right. Because Flash Gordon was already an established storyline as far as sci-fi goes. It was the most popular.
Right, space opera hero. Yeah.
Brian, I have a little question for you.
Go right ahead.
You're always usually the one to put us on the spot with a question, with a pop culture question, right?
Mm-hmm.
So look at this cover that I'm working on for Royal Rumble, right? And it's a pop culture reference to a classic cult movie that was a failure, but became a cult movie. And,
Big Trouble in Little China?
Nope. And I could say that it's based on an IP that it did not respect, but created its own fandom.
I know. I think I know.
Can we get a full screen on that, possibly? Oh, It's like agonizingly familiar, but I can't put my damn finger on it.
Can somebody guess in the chat?
Yeah, seriously, folks in the chat, we're an interactive show. So this is a homage to an IP that came out in the 80s.
Yep, a movie that came out in the 80s. It's a classic sci-fi movie, right?
Yeah.
It failed when it came out, but it became a cult classic, and there's a lot of people that love that goddamn movie. And I could tell you one thing, and you'll know right away if I tell you the name of the actor.
Oh, yeah, that would be kind of giving it away.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and it's obviously not Blade Runner.
The only thing I will say, it's this should be a guy, and that will be it.
Oh, okay.
Imagine a big muscly guy there.
Muscly guy with a sword.
Mm-hmm.
Sword. It's not the Beastmaster.
Nope.
People in the chat, please help me. I'm drowning.
Okay. Do I reveal it, or do I still? You still want a few seconds?
Go ahead and reveal it because nobody in the chat's chiming in. Oh, I was gonna. Oh man, I thought
Master of the Universe. Yeah.
I was gonna say. Yeah, I remember somebody saying asking. No, it wasn't Kirby, but I remember somebody being asked. Maybe it was Steranko actually. Somebody being asked what do you think the best Jack Kirby fourth world movie is? And then some guy said Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's it did not respect the IP, but it is its own thing. If you don't think that it's actually He-Man,
right?
It's an actual interesting movie for the time that it came out.
Yeah. It's just like the action sequences are kind of poor, but the sets are really cool.
And it's like I'm doing something that's in a battle arena, fights and stuff, right? And I was looking for an homage to a type of cover, and I thought of that one because I'm also a Struzen fan. And I'm
yeah. Yeah, man. Kick ass, man.
That cover is awesome.
Yeah, boy. This is great. So this is for another project.
No, that's for Tales from the Nightverse.
That's Tales from the Nightverse.
That's the interior cover for the Royal Rumble story.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. How many pages is that going to be?
64 plus.
Nice. See, that's the other thing I like about Blood Hunt is a nice, thick, substantial page count. It's a nice book.
And the pages are thick.
The pages are thick, and then of course you can put it on your bookshelf without it disappearing because the title and everything's right on the binding. Nice job, Simon. This came out.
Thank you.
Seriously, all bullshit aside, this came out beautiful.
Thanks.
It's
I got them to print the cover 5 times just to make sure it came out just perfect.
Right.
It came out dark. Then the colors were a bit too how can you have the cover when the idea is that the purple stands out a bit more than the rest of the flashy colors by being the coldest, and it didn't work. So that's why I made him try a few times. That's why we printed it in RGB with a little bit of brightness on it. So we played with the brightness. So it was a 10% brightness on it. So that's why the purple pops.
Right. Let's see if I can.
If you notice, yeah.
I'm trying to get it without that shine.
Because I wanted it to, pop compared to the red in the back. So.
Right. No, it really does work. Yeah. Nice job, man. It's like, when I got this from Drew, it's like, well, it's like you've already anybody that you've already gotten books from, what to expect. But man, for your first book, man, you fucking nailed it. And
thank you.
To Tales from the Nightverse is really gonna blow up big because you've fulfilled on this book, and once you fulfilled on your first book, then people know they're getting. Not only do they know that you're reliable, that they're getting their book, but they're getting quality too.
Yeah, like they say, it's all about presentation, right?
It is. It is.
Those little extra work that I did there for the interior cover with the credit, that little fun I had there. It was all worth it because people keep bringing it up.
I know. Yo, Bronson Gorilla, what's up, brother?
What's up?
Bronson,
I
of
was
course.
Jezebel guessed Conan. That's what I was going to guess too. I was thinking
Conan.
the first Conan movie because you had that single horn on that chick, and it's kind of like how the Queen was dressed in the what I mean? So.
And Conan the Destroyer.
One of the look.
Yeah,
but those
Conan
were both
Destroyer.
successful.
Right.
But those were both successful.
I'll pull out all the research. Like when I was thinking of the inspiration for it, I'll show you guys. Yeah, it might be interesting.
Cool. Very, very, very cool.
I was researching everything from classic movies or heavy metal, right? So So there was this that I thought was interesting.
Yeah. I've seen that. Yeah, by Joe Diamata, one of the Ator, the Fighting Eagle.
I thought that was one of the classic heavy metal.
Yeah.
There was this Sword and Sorcery. I was thinking of maybe using that.
Oh yeah, the Sword and the Sorcerer. Wow.
Obviously, I went with that one. I was looking for some heavy metal covers. This is Scotland doing a little fan art of Vincent, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. Ow, sexy. Very freaking cool. Oh, now there's two Drews.
Oh, how'd that happen? He took it down. I must have killed Sim by mistake.
You're cloning yourself.
He dropped his own screen, so when I was removing him, he got removed.
Oh no!
He got himself kicked.
Oh no!
By accident. There he is.
Yeah.
Sim, how'd you get yourself kicked there, man?
The thing, the little stop sharing icon that's like the floating icon. It's like right next to the leave studio. So I click on the
okay, so
double click and kick me out at the same time.
Oops!
Fuck.
Oops! Oh man, it was freaky too because suddenly there were like two Drews.
I was clicking to remove the from the stream at the same time you removed your thing, so you shifted the thumbnails around, and I obviously clicked this instead.
Okay,
that's my other computer, and you know what I mean. So I actually have two computers running, and I have to be in. I just don't show that avatar.
Yeah, that was my bad. It's one of those you click once and you kind of did a double click or something, or
right.
Happens to the best of us, for sure. And just once again, props to Bronson Gorilla in the chats. He did that absolutely wonderful, beautiful, gorgeous Six Gun Gorilla trailer. He also did that trailer for Adam Post's College of the Dead. Bronson Gorilla is a really, really talented guy, and I think we're going to be seeing some interesting stuff from him in the future. That perhaps he shall also be throwing his hat in into the ring and making a little bit more of a presence of himself.
A presence like gifts?
No, like just like
I like presents.
Just hanging out and being there, and man, it's just like I said, it's just insane the amount of talent that we have here, and then you look at like Marvel and DC with that crappy Tumblr art and the shitty writers they get off of Twitter. This is where the talent is, man. Strongest currents always run underground.
True.
Yeah.
Sorry,
there's more money in the mainstream industry. Damn it.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
They seem to be blowing each other up, and I'm sorry. I'm here doing a victory dance. Sorry.
Amazon is having record comic sales. Comixology is blowing up. So
victory dance.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing. It's like you look at all these shitty Tumblr artists and these shitty Twitter writers, and you realize it's just like they can't be paying these people very much. They must be paying them like next to nothing. Doing the old but you'll get exposure deal, which is
here's the thing. It really comes down to like existing reach, right? So like if you want to talk business of comics and why like they're making so much money and their comics are shit. Okay, it's because they have like millions of followers, millions of fans, people that are there, ears and eyes that are there. And they can basically sell something that has been unseen and just pitch it a billion times, targeting a certain demographic. And because there's just that overwhelming awareness, they're playing a numbers game. So even if they get 1% of that, it's a fucking shitload of money.
But there's also the fact that they have this the certified sales program in all their business dealings with their comics. Meaning, it's like the European, they give you an advance because they know they're going to be selling that much, because they know that all those stores, those distributors, and they're going to buy at least that, right? So you get an advance on that. And
plus just so you know, they also discount the more if you order more from Marvel, if you order more from DC, you get a better discounted rate, so you can make more per book on that.
And also if you don't, when you do that, you also there's the I don't want any return, and then after that it became no returns at all, because before it used to be an option. You take the risk or you don't.
Right.
You have an extra discount.
Yeah, I don't think that's from the DC Marvel side, but it is one of those things they have to do, because when there's a distributor in the middle, right, the where the book gets damaged could happen before or after the distributor, and not necessarily in the distributor's hands. So you never know where the blame on the damage is supposed to exist at the final thing, because the distributor does not inspect the books before shipment. They just take and ship. So it's. I mean, if you just think the business of it, there's got to be a loss, and someone's got to take the loss, right? Now, it's not all on the retailer. It just seems that way, because the rest of the loss is spread across the manufacturing and the price discounts. But it is there. It's just that it's forethought. Like when we charge more for shipping, because we expect that there may be sometimes we have to ship somebody twice or 3 times. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's built into our business model. It's the same thing. It's just really easy to shit on something when it's in your face like that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And without thinking about the overall bigger picture. The beauty of the comic book thing will never change. The comic book store, going into the store, being able to get the book off the shelf, looking at it, falling in love with something completely new that you've never seen before. Boom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is something that, and then it's like, well, you can do that online. Yes, but you don't walk into a web stream. You have to discover a web stream from a link or some kind of marketing or whatever. You walk into a comic book shop because it's a comic book shop. And then you walk over and you want to see what's new. Almost everybody, I mean, there's the hardcores, they're there to get their fucking pulls and get the fuck out. But then there's people who are there to browse. The browsers are always looking for something they haven't seen before.
Absolutely.
And if you can, and I mean, I've had the comic book stores in my local area have told me that the books jump off the shelves, and they're awesome. Like, can we have some more? You know what I mean? And then it's like they put them on the shelves. People walk in there, and it's like if I put 10 in there, like the first following 20 browsers take them. You know what I mean? So they don't last in there, and I don't have the inventory to margin to keep feeding that, which sucks, because I really wish that I could just throw hundreds of books away it that way. I mean, because there's a profit, but the profit margin is so small, because I have to give the retailer a significant discount so that they can make a profit. And so, and because I didn't,
usually the retailer takes about between 30 to 40%.
Yeah. And the difference is I printed a lot of books, and in 2 different covers. So my print cost broke down to about $4.50 a book. You know what I mean?
You mean the first one?
A little bit less. Yeah, the first one.
Yeah.
With the variant cover broke down to about $4.50 a book. So if I'm selling that book for $10 cover price, the $4.50 like that gives me about a $1.50 margin. You know what I mean? Of profit to give it to the retailer. So because they're going to sell it for, they're going to want to pay $6 or $7 if I can get, you know what I mean?
It's like I was saying earlier for the blacks there, they ended up costing me an extra $1.20 or something per book.
Mm-hmm.
Just because the enriched black thing.
Right. Because you went from 1 plate to 4 plates.
Yeah. Yep. But it was totally freaking worth it. When I saw it, I'm like,
it's 3 times the ink, man. It's 3 times the ink.
Yeah.
Yep.
It is not just black. It is all the colors.
Yeah, and they have to change the type of paper because the paper they use for black and white doesn't absorb as much ink. There was too much ink, so there was overflow, stickiness, and stuff like that. They had to clean their machine, and I felt bad. But hey,
but still, man, it's all about the finished product, and the
yes, it
finished
is.
finished product looks spectacular.
Thank you.
But I wish
can't wait. I can't wait for Drew to get his too.
Dude,
I'm looking forward to getting mine, man, so I can check it out. I really wish that there was like a distributor like Diamond that would go around. I mean, like Alterna is indie, but they don't really like they don't really like go around and pick up every good book and get it out there. You know what I mean? They're very niche market to who they target with their materials. So it's like,
True.
So it would be cool if there was like an indie distributor like Diamond that was just like did indies, and then like if you had a successful book, like it crowdfunded and made like a certain amount of money or whatever, and looked a certain kind of quality. You know what I mean? They would promote it to their but that's a whole nother business that like Diamond could collect and cash in on. But they would have to change their business model to make that work.
Yeah, I mean, a big question also is: are comic book stores even going to exist at the end of this COVID thing? Because
right now they're magic stores more than comic book stores.
Yeah,
right.
Well, no, a lot of most of the places you can buy comics across the country are different from each other. I mean, there's 3 different kinds of comic book shops. There's the one that is strictly just hardcore comics. They have what's recent, you know what I mean, and they usually are pretty strict about getting only what's good. They're not just buying everything.
Right.
And then they have fucking drawers and drawers and drawers of fucking back issues that are, you know what I mean, that are collectible. And as they get older and more rare, they get more expensive. And then the other, there's another kind which is a little bit like the other extreme, where they're completely like corporate style. They're basically a Hot Topic with fucking comics in them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's all about the Funko Pop heads and Pokemon cards.
And they don't give
magic.
a fuck. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't.
Right now, most comic book store right now, it's like they have the basement or a room that's just for go play Magic. That's how they survive before the COVID. That's how they. Yeah.
Yeah, they do gaming nights and all kinds of extra stuff to, but I don't know if they do that for the money, because those people who go and show up for that aren't really buying anything.
I can tell you that I have 3 friends that are owners of 3 of the biggest stores here in Montreal. Okay, one had to start dealing with books distributor to actually have to be able to compete, right?
Mm-hmm.
The second one was started doing the video games. Like rebuying and trading video games, right? Type of thing. And that's how he could keep going. So he also had that, and sword collections, all type of like those type of swords and stuff like that.
They usually have to, that they have to. That I agree. But that if that's something that you're going to run into. I mean, because if your overhead is a certain amount, you got to bring in that income. You know what I mean? And it's just comic books are. We're always supposed to be an inexpensive medium, and because of the cost of living is skyrocketed, rent is skyrocketed, everything is so expensive. It doesn't make sense to have, unless you're really good at doing your business, having your business exclusive comics. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even the comic book stores that are exclusive comics, they still have hats and T-shirts and toys. But you see, but that's not their main focus.
The 2 first ones we're still having trouble after doing that, right? The first one that's doing the one with books, right? The book distributors, he has the French and the American comics, so that's why he can compete, right? But he also opened and bought one of the biggest online stores, which was Comic Expert back. So they're the owners of that, and that's how they could thrive. But now they're also having a bit of issue, right? And the only one out of the 3 that are not really that much having any issue are the one that turned magic. They still have the comics, right? But they have a basement, and they do competition, and they have a dealing with Wizard of the Coast, and they can actually have big giveaways, and they have like packs before ahead of time. So that's what they became, and they're the only one that's actually still, like, you could say, thriving.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean,
yeah.
But I mean, with the COVID, I mean, does everybody just sit in the basement with masks, or have they canceled those?
It's probably different everywhere. I mean, it's if it's less than 15 people, they probably can just gather. You know what I mean?
At this point here in Montreal, it's like if you're going to a public place, you just you're forced by law to wear a mask.
Gotcha.
As soon as you go inside somewhere.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, it's like Adam was saying too. Like part of the comic book store experience also used to be coming in. It was a social thing. You know what I mean? You talk to like other fans. You talk to the store owner, the clerks and shit. Like, and you might ask them like what, like, is there a particular book out now that you're especially crazy about? Or they would just volunteer the information, like, oh dude, you got to check this out, and so on and so forth. Like, I know you like Conan comics, you need to check that out. That's
what I liked about those those stores, is that they knew me for a freaking long time, right? So you go in, they know what you like. Then there's one of them, right, that knew me since I've been 13.
Wow. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so I go there with my kids, and he's all like, I'm like, what the hell? That's like mini you. I'm like, I know. I cloned myself. I don't know how I did it.
That's so awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, so it becomes almost like a family thing,
Yeah.
And a community thing. And man,
a lot of stores are family and community and that kind of stuff. It's just, at that point, it's just store level.
But
the comic book thing is, it's like, it really comes down to how well you market, because there is a market for it, and as long as there's a market for it, and they are good at communicate, selling to the market, they'll be in business. You know what I mean? Like it's actually like for us, there's a huge market for our stuff. Problem is getting our stuff in front of that market. It is really, there's no like single place that we could we can't just drop ads in front of people. You know what I mean? There's no place that we can just drop ads. Conventions was the best marketing out there, and COVID has choked that out. Trust me, my whole plan was fucked up because of that. Because
I know, mine too.
My whole spring and summer was going to be, convention, and just building up Captain Love as a property, building up the name, and seeing what I could make of it. And I'm going to have to wait until this whole shabacle is over. But on the good side of that, when all this shabacle is over and we're back to conventions, I'm going to have a shitload of stuff to put on my table.
Exactly. And when people see that you have more than one book, when people see that you have 2 books, 3 books, 4 books, 5 books, right?
Yeah,
in my case, 7 books.
It might be 3 books by then, yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? It increases people's interest, because then they realize, oh, this isn't somebody that's just like trying this out. This is somebody that's like, playing the long game. This is somebody that's, if I start following this creator, I start following this book, it's going to be something that I'm going to be able to continue to follow. It's not just going to.
I mean, that's what I was saying. Like in one of my updates, like in the update I did today, I want to thank everybody for the support, and hopefully you'll enjoy Bloodhunt and follow me on my next books.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like it's a little adventure there. It's like, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. So they get to feel like they're part of this with us.
But they are.
Exactly. And, just the other day, I had somebody that sent me the nicest email, and they were just like, you know what, man, thank you so much for the great customer service and everything. And I didn't go out of my way to do anything special. It's just this person, like they got their book damaged, and I replaced it.
Dude, it's like, I'm not going to use the name, but go a few months back, right? There was a guy on Twitter that was coming after, was pissed and was coming out because of somebody else, right? And was just going at me with the campaign, right? And I instead of just going in and going being abrasive or something, I just looked at him go, right? Waited for what he was saying, complaining about, and I just went in and I just, kind of just address it as in, a customer would come to you and you go, okay, I can understand that you're upset, but this has nothing to do with me. If you go through my updates, I've been keeping everybody posted. So if you have any other question, please reach out to me.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
The next, like in the next 5 minutes, he was still fighting with the people in that conversation. But I got a message going, I just backed your book. Thank you for being professional.
Yeah, that's the thing is that our customers have a relationship with us on a one-on-one basis. And
somewhat, I trip out on like I have customers from Fresno that I don't know like them personally, and I don't even think they're like like part of the community. So it's like it's so weird that when somebody who's just a comic book fan, what I mean, probably doesn't even know I'm from Fresno, orders it, I'm shipping it out. You know what I mean? And I don't even know if they notice when they get it. You know what I mean? Like because I have to do 2 packages when they have a poster. And if they you know what I mean, if they order the whole thing with a T-shirt too and all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? Because I had one guy who's from Fresno order the first book, but the whole like collector's like thing. So he got the T-shirt, the books, the the whole wazoo, the big pack. And then he went and bought chapter 1 from that and got the poster as well. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So he got 3 packages, you know what I mean, sent to him because of the nature of, the weight. You know what I mean? There's no way I could add that last 4 ounces to the collector's thing because it would put it another pound higher. You know what I mean? Plus, I just, he's doing that big collector's thing. I figured, you know what, I'll just do 2. Anyway, so he got 3 packages, and then the poster came first because it didn't go media mail because it goes first class because it's a package.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he got that first, and then he sent me an email saying, I got the poster, it looks awesome, but what about the books? And I'm like, oh, it'll be there any minute. I sent him a tracking number. I'm like, it just amazes me that it like takes a week to get it there, media mail, and it's the same fucking town. I almost want to like, somehow like find, if you're in Fresno, man, just email
swing
me.
by my house.
So that's the actual difference between media mail and the other mail. It's one can take 3 days and the other one takes a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, they media mail, they say 2 to 9 days. Actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
2 to 9.
I find that usually it's like a week on average. I would say. And Bronson Gorilla says, I don't even know people. I don't even know if people have pull boxes here anymore. Anytime I go in there, they are hosting game tournaments and don't really seem too interested in comics anymore.
See, that's what I'm telling you. Yeah. And there's also the fact that the clientele, okay, most people, even the younger one, like my boy is the same, okay. They would like comics. They hate floppies because one, you need pull box. You need a freaking word warp. You need this. You need that, right? Well, when you buy a trade paperback or the graphic novels, like one of the first things you said when you had Bloodhound in your hand, right? It was like,
yep, that can go on the shelf,
and you have you can put it on your shelf, and you have the name on the side, like when we have with Captain Love, the first one. People, that's what they love.
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously,
and then they'll all be compiled into that. Obviously, I'm doing floppies because I have to do it that way. The same actually, and just the same reason why I'm doing floppies is the same reason why publishers do. You know what I mean? Because it's less expensive to put it's less risk, one issue at a time, one chapter at a time, one whatever story at a time. And then do compilations later, using the same and then adding a little bit more. It's just smart business because if
you don't have to justify it, makes sense. That's not what I was saying. The point is, I gotta
justify it.
No, you don't. It's just the fact that
making it sound like my floppies don't count good
enough. Even my friends and that own the store were telling me that they sell more trade paperback. People don't buy the floppies anymore because it comes to what I was saying before. I don't know if it was this room or another one. It's the fact that right now they went to, remember the movies and the novels before you could go and you'd buy an Anne Rice or you'd buy like a thing and usually it would be good or you'd be satisfied or now you've been through a phase where they oversaturated. It was like so like quick that you bought so many freaking of those shit. You went to see so many movies and got shit and you're like, Okay, right now I'm going to be a bit more weary to end up to the point that you almost didn't buy any or went to see any more movies. So that's what they did. So it's it has nothing with the idea of you building up your medium, right? It's more about them killing the market and not following, trying to resist the people that was the how can you say, the demand was changing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because like, people get greedy, and like we saw the comic book industry, the American comic book industry, almost collapsed like around in the late '90s because they weren't making comic books to be read. They weren't making comic books for readers. They were making them for speculators.
They were just fillers.
Yeah.
We need to have it out. We have to have something out. So you ended up having Marvel. The European did the same thing, dude. That's why once a while back I said they tried to go full US.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
They had their books for like $27, $35, right? 58 to 60 something, right? And you were expecting that they were taking their time, like Mobius and those like that, right?
Right.
Not to have the same type of art as Marvel. Right. On all of them, and getting oversaturated with no quality control, that people were buying, and then went like, you know what, fuck this shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's one of the reasons why the digital is kind of like thriving a bit without taking over, because it's like the idea of you that you have now with a movie now. Okay, let's just be frank here. A lot of people right now are like, oh, I'm gonna pirate it if I like it. I'm gonna go see it in big screen, or I'm gonna buy the DVD or Blu-ray. Yeah, how many times did you get burnt? Going, oh fuck yes, I'm gonna buy this, I'm gonna buy that, and you're like, no, fuck, it's all the fucking same thing.
Yeah, and that creates resentment in the consumer, and that's the last thing you want is resentment in the consumer.
Mm-hmm.
With the late '90s, and when they were making the comics for the speculators. What really fucked that up was they were selling like 2 million copies of like X-Men #1 or whatever, but they didn't have 2 million readers. They just had like, thousands of guys that were buying like 20 copies.
Mm-hmm.
And what makes comics valuable is the fact that they're scarce, right? That it's really hard to find like a first issue of the Fantastic Four or Action Comics #1.
Mm-hmm.
It's the scarcity that makes makes it valuable.
The scarcity and the demand.
To a collector, it comes down to what you'll pay for it. I mean, the value is what you'll pay for it. So like
that's why it's the rarity of it and the demand. It's a mix of both.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Now when you talk about trade paperbacks, right? Actually, like in this area, I did my research all up and down California on this.
Dude, you have old trade paperbacks worth more than the freaking floppy.
I
know.
So like the trade paperbacks tend to be, sold if they're like of a certain width, of a certain, like the 48 pagers, those don't sell too well in LCSs. You know what I mean? But they'll sell like 60 plus pagers, 64 pagers and bigger will sell. Especially people when they buy a trade paperback in the LCS, they really kind of, if they're paying like $25, they expect like 144, 160 pages, somewhere in there, because that's like, the market standard on the comic book shelf. But the trade paperbacks that are like, say, Batman and Marvel and that kind of stuff don't really sell well in comic book shops. Those sell in Barnes and Noble. They sell better through, the actual bookstores, actually online, Amazon, that kind of stuff.
And do you remember the Dark Knight Returns?
Yeah,
those years.
Yeah,
was the test. That was one of the first tests they were doing to try to go to the bookstore, trying to get that thing. That was the beginning.
Which is why everybody has that one. Why it's super awesome, and why they dumped a fortune on it, because they wanted to come out the gate with the fucking 1-2 punch that knocked you the fuck out.
And I still have the originals.
I do too.
And also the 90s was big for Batman because of all the Tim Burton movies and that kind of stuff. So it was, they were spending a lot of money on the.
Do you know what I found, Brian, a while back?
Well, what you get?
Yeah, you're a Frank Miller fan too, right?
Oh, huge.
Big Guy and Rusty.
No shit.
I have the original. They came out in giant size. You remember?
Oh yeah.
I have both of them.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I don't have mine anymore, unfortunately.
Like I didn't even know they came out that big.
Yeah. They sure did, man. Man, they were doing a lot of interesting stuff. Of course, what I found really strange was, they started coming out with comics in what they were calling then prestige format.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
And if it was the Killing Joke or the Dark Knight, your returns, you were like, oh hell yeah. But then they started making just like crap comics like that, right? Which increased the cover price. And then they had all these gimmicks, like the foil covers and all that stuff. This is like during the Liefeld era and the and the late '90s, and they were just like, "Fuck you to the fans, fuck you to the readers," and just like, "Come here, speculators." So they lost all their old fans, and then suddenly the speculators went, "Ooh, action figures," and fucking dumped, comic collecting, and that's when the bottom dropped out. And a lot of people were thinking like, oh my God, this could be like the end of the medium itself, like at least in the United States.
Dude, people still listen to 8-track tapes, man. It's never going to end, man. Let me tell you.
Well, yeah, but I mean that's a very, very small cult group,
Yeah,
and it's
well,
a nostalgia, a nostalgia thing.
You want to go one step before 8-track? Go LP.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. You have wax collectors who are really
and I'll tell you what, an analog LP, as long as you got a good needle on your stereo, will always sound better than the digital. Always.
That's what all of the audiophiles that I know swear. They all say that. And now I'm looking up to see how much my Dead World trade paperback is worth.
Well, anyways, so we've been going for an hour and 45. So we
should wrap this up. I gotta get something to eat. It's good hanging out with y'all. Good talking to you boys, and hey, hail everybody in the chat. Thank you so much for dropping in and chilling with us tonight.
Yeah.
And go back, Captain Love. Go sign up for Tales of the Natverse, the pre-campaign page, and of course go check out the Kill Journal.
Yeah, and yes, go get on the Kill Journal's mailing list. Get on Nat get on Nat the Mercs.
Tales on the Natverse. Yeah,
Tales, whatever the fuck, dude.
Just say Natverse. Just say
Natverse. Natverse mailing list, and then also go get on the Captain Love mailing list. And if you don't have Captain Love, there are 2 in-demand campaigns right now to choose from. And so there's all kinds of ways to get Captain Love in your life. So if you lack love in your life, I got your solution.
Yeah, man, he's got your back.
I got your back. So everybody, thank you for coming, and you have a great evening, and we will see you next week.
Peace, love, and